I'm all over the place right now. Okay, it does. It looks like it's working. I'm over here trying to check to see if you can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Trying to
Yeah,
paste this on.
we good.
All right, let me go live on here. Hopefully they can hear me. I don't know if they'll hear you guys in the background. All right, so hello, welcome to Thoughts of a Light Skinned Woman. I'm your host, Political Angie, and tonight my guests are Drew and Cleve. So before we all start talking, I just want to so today's topic is about colorism. Um, we know that we've been seeing things a lot happen, like in social media. The conversations about when it comes to people of color, whether they're light or dark, and the things that we basically say to each other. Um, it's like certain things you just can't say to someone else that it's gonna come off as offensive, regardless if you consider yourself to be black and you're light skinned. It doesn't really matter. Um,
Mhm.
but I wanted to have the discussion because it's to the point where I had to put it out there. I mean, I did a show before that I was talking about that because it's kind of like I consider myself, I say like I'm an Afro Latina. I always say like I'm a woman of color. It just really sucks that I really have to go around, having to tell someone like, yeah, I'm black or whatever, that we really have to do that, just to let someone know, like, where you're from instead of just saying, hey, I'm just Angie. But, people are always curious and want to know, you know what I mean? They want to know exactly. Uh, Growing up, um, I'm from the south side of where Williamsburg is at, the Williamsburg Bridge
South
on the south
side.
side of Buddhist. And growing up, that area was a Hispanic area. Of course, it was the Puerto Ricans and Dominicans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, growing up as a kid, I never really thought about it. I never really thought about it twice. I never questioned, like, why am I so light skinned and why I see people of different colors. I never really thought about it much. That was never a thought in my head. You know what I mean? I think once I got older, that's when I started to notice the issues that other people had with me. And I was just kind of lost about it because I'm like, I'm kind of confused about the fact that I am light skinned, but I didn't really, like I said before, I didn't know that was a real issue. And I'm a kid. I didn't choose my mother. I didn't choose my father. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't make this choice. But I just don't like the fact of the way people act and the fact of how we're actually pinned against each other, which I sometimes just find it to be like really stupid. Like I've always said, you can be dark
Mhm.
skinned, you could be light skinned, you could be Asian, you could be whatever color, whatever, from whatever country. If you're pretty, you're pretty. You're ugly, you're ugly. Nothing has to do with the color of your skin because trust me, we've all seen it. We've seen very pretty people no matter where they come from. We've seen ugly people no matter where they come from. Being light or dark has nothing to do with what will make you pretty and what will make you ugly. But I remember in my last show, I actually brought up and I mentioned about, how back in the days, like R&B music, like they had people like Monica and
Mm-hmm. Brandy.
right, and like Whitney Houston, like, but I'm just saying, like, people of like that were lighter, light skin. There was Tony Braxton, and it was always that you saw, and they made it seem that, like, like that was the thing to do. Like, we have to have the light skin representation of what this is, what a black woman, and never, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just really dislike because once you get older, you kind of see the bigger picture because in my head, it's like what they've done, they try to brainwash people. And I know you say you have the thing, Drew, that you say you're gonna read, but in a
Mm-hmm.
minute. um, but I feel like what they would try to do is like brainwash people, control, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I just know that that's what's been done because it's kind of like the fact to make it seem, because if you're dark skinned, you're not pretty, or if your hair looks like this, you're ugly, and that kind of sucks. because of how people started to see themselves. And then again, whether you're light skin, you're dark skin, if you got curly hair, you got nappy hair, it's always been that type of thing within the community. Again, that I just don't like. Because two things that I wanted to bring up was I didn't get to tell you the story, but I did say it one time on one of my shows. I was standing on the line waiting to do the silent clubbing, and there were these two ladies standing behind me. So I heard them say something about, oh, I wonder if that's really her hair. And you know what they did? One of them actually went and tried to touch my hair. And these were black women.
Mm.
So I was just a little bit confused of like, why do you want to know if this is my hair or not? Like, why do you need to see? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like really confused, and it kind of bothered me because it's like they're over here trying to touch my hair. Trying to figure it out. I'm not going around touching other people's
Mm-hmm.
hair. I'm not trying to figure out if people are wearing weaves and wigs or whatever. I don't really care. You want to do whatever you want with your head and your hair. That's your business. I don't care. I don't need to want to, you know what I mean? I don't need to figure it out. I don't need to be curious. I don't need to be like how other people do in other countries or even how they do here when they see a black person and they want to touch their hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't get it. It's like you
Right.
can't admire it from afar, just admire it from the distance. You don't have to do all that. Imagine us going around deciding that we want to touch a white person's hair. We want to start touching other people's hair. Like, oh my God, your hair is so pretty. And then you just
Oh,
start
you
go,
be
you know what I
arrested.
mean? But I
Mm-hmm.
remember
Yep.
I was at a Dominican salon, right? And I don't know what was the conversation we were having. Oh, I think she was trying to tell me, right? That because where I live at, this is like a Caribbean. This is a Caribbean neighborhood. Um, we have it all here, and she said something about some woman was in her salon and made a comment something about her niece, why she got to pay cheaper or something about her hair. I don't know what it was, but she was trying to say like they have some sort of insecurity or some sort of jealousy that she just felt that she had to say something to her and that she found something to be unfair, right? Then I said that I'm black, right? Because I said something about like I think I said something like that, and then she goes to me, you're not black. So then I'm kind of like, then what the hell am I? So am I just Hispanic? So basically, that's what I'm thinking to myself. Like, I'm just a Hispanic. There's no color to me. I'm just a Hispanic because other than that, what else would I be? Do you see where I'm going with this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what else would I be if I'm not if I'm not black? If I'm not Puerto Rican, what else am I? Like, what? I didn't get that when she says you're not black. Like, okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting to hear. I was like, all right, what the hell is that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
But you guys can chime
Oh
in.
yeah, that brings back memories.
So we live in a society where
No,
people are
yeah,
very. We live in a society where people are very ignorant. Not everybody. People haven't traveled. They never went anywhere. Like perfect example, down south, down here. When I first moved to North Carolina, right, and they were asking me where you was from. It was like, hey man, where you from, man? You from Brooklyn, man? Where you from? And I said, I'm from Brooklyn. And the dude said, well, you from the area where all the Mexicans are at. And I said, no, there's other races besides Mexican. That's not the only Spanish race. You got Dominicans, you got Puerto Ricans, you got Colombians, you got different things. So people don't know certain things because they haven't traveled. They don't know. As far as with us, with the light skin, dark skin stuff, we were. And I want to say some. I'm trying not to keep it controversial, okay? But
yeah.
we were indoctrinated when we were taken over here to train ourselves to be like that towards each other. Because you remember the other day I read that book
Mm-hmm.
called I ain't gonna put it out there because I don't want nobody to copyright it. But it's called The Makings of a Slave by Willie Lynch. And I'm gonna read. If you give me time, I'm gonna try to get
No,
to the meat and the
you got
potato.
time. Don't worry about it.
I ain't trying to take away no thunder. So this book, sir, what's your name? I'm sorry, what's your name again? Cleef?
Cleef.
Okay, Cleef. So this book is called Makings of a
Yes.
Slave. You ever heard of it? You read the book already.
Read
So
it.
I'm gonna read it again.
Okay.
Gentlemen,
I read it.
I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I'm here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if
Mm-hmm.
my program is implemented. As our boat sailed south in the James River,
Mm-hmm.
named for our illustrious king, you see how they throw religion in that? Whose version of the Bible we cherish, I
Mm-hmm.
saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of woods, and they just sat here and said some stuff right here too, cords of woods for courses for standing human bodies along its highways in great numbers, you are using the tree and the rope on occasion. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree. Sorry, hold on. A couple miles back. You're not only losing
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away, crops are sometimes left in the fields, too long for maximum profit. You suffered occasional fires, your animals are killed.
Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I'm not here to enumerate your problem. I'm here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer community, I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves. Now this is important right here. Listen to all this. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves. And I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy. Remember the jealousy, the hair, everything? Envy for control purposes. These
Mm-hmm.
methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple little list of differences. They broke this thing down to science. Think about them. On top of my list is age, but it's there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex sizes, or plantation status on plantations, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on the hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall, or short. Now you have a list of differences. I shall give you an outline of action, but
Mm-hmm.
before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy stronger than adulation, respect or admiration. The black slaves, after receiving this indoctrination, remember I said we were indoctrinated, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years. I'm going to read this last thing and then this is going to be it. But this is the key point right here. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slave versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slave versus the dark-skinned slaves. That's your problem with complexion right there. You must use the female in our community versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers, distrust, or black. I'm gonna leave it alone. I don't want to get too further deeper into anything else. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna leave that alone. But right there shows you.
Well, it's fun, but it's funny you should mention that because that's exactly where I was going to go with the whole light skin, dark
Great minds
skin
think alike,
colorism thing.
bro.
You're right. It all starts back. It all starts back at slavery. It's the slave mentality. It's the house Negro versus the field Negro, right? And the house Negro is the lightest Negro. It's the Negro that's
Mm-hmm.
treated the best, who gets the leftovers. This is our house, versus the field Negro, who is usually the darker one, who is the supposedly uneducated, the dirtiest, the nastiest, the ugliest. And this has carried on for centuries. So let me just reveal this. We all come from the same neighborhood. I too am from Brooklyn,
Okay.
from Williamsburg. I was born and raised there. Um, I can remember as early as being 7 years old in elementary school, PS 257
Mm.
on Humboldt Street, on the corner of Humboldt and Cook, right? I remember me being the darkest kid in my class, and all of the other black kids used to make fun of me because I was the darkest kid in the class. I was the smartest kid in the class, but I was also the darkest kid in the class. And that has carried with me until this day. And this is how important it is to talk about this, because even through college, I've had people say, well, why don't you just get over it? This is something that's happened to you when you was a kid. No, this is something that has been indoctrinated through slavery, through our grandparents, through our parents, through us. And this kind of helps us navigate where we need to go in life. Like for me, I thought for the longest time that black people didn't like me because I'm too dark. And I totally, and I'll be the first to admit it, I disassociated myself with black people for the longest time when I was growing up, because I'm like, you're gonna do me
Right.
like this? I'm your people. Why would I want to deal with you if you're gonna do me like this? Right. And so I found that some of the other cultures that I associated with made me feel more comfortable about me and my skin than my own people. That shit is wrong. Straight out fucking wrong. Okay. So that's my problem there. And that's something that has carried with me even till this day. Now, here's the damage that it causes. Now you're talking about the way that I speak, because now I'm too dark to be cool, but I don't speak like you. So now I'm not you. So now that's a double whammy, especially I'm thinking in the place of education, higher education, like college. I figured, you want someone who sounds somewhat educated and, being from the street, I can do street hood, but I also think that I'm in a place of education, I should play the role. And again, no, so it's too dark and I spoke too well. And so those are the systemic damages that colorism has. Remember school
Yeah.
days, good
Yeah.
and bad hair, right? Remember that bad hair, same concept. And Rinka and Andrew, you just went through that too, with someone trying to touch your hair, good or bad hair. Black, the darker skinned folks had the nappier hair. Oh, we don't want no hair like that. The light skin, the AKAs or whoever was pledging sororities, fraternities, they had to straighten their hair because they had to look more like who they're not supposed to be. Now, here's what happened. Here's the funny part that has taken place. In the late 80s, and I remember this specifically because I was in my I was in my freshman or sophomore year of college. There was a evolution of light and dark skinned people. Let me clarify. Like you said, all the artists and actresses, if they were light skinned, they were beautiful. Everybody followed them, whatever. It wasn't until when Wesley Snipes got on the scene, Denzel got on the scene, some darker skinned actors, and then that's when people were like, "Ooh," and then that's when people like who look like me became a little bit more accepted. But it goes farther than that. There was a movement during the late 80s, around the time School Days was out, where young black students were talking about
Really?
back to Africa, the whole back to Africa movement, right? Meaning that now we're gonna flip the script. So the script is now where white light was right and dark, whatever. Now we're flipping the script. White means your blood is diluted. You ain't really black. Your blood is diluted. If you're dark like me, you're closer back to where you came from Africa. So dark-skinned people were closer to the motherland than the light-skinned people. And that's when that whole thing turned. And so from then on, I started to feel a little bit more comfortable because we had to change the narrative of how we viewed each other. I still think it's a shitty thing, whether I'm dark or light. Like you said, we're all people. People are people. We feel the same things, but these are the after effects of what has happened because of colorism. And Andrew, I'm so glad that you reread that passage to me, because I do remember reading that passage, and I was wondering if that was the passage that he was going to read, because it does heavily pertain to this. This is something that was taught centuries ago and still having effect today.
He said
How
it in the
powerful is
speech.
that?
He said if you utilize this, it's going to hold them in bondage for 300 years.
Exactly. Exactly. So to answer the question about colorism, where it came from, what is it? That's it. That's basically it. And everything else is just potatoes. It's mush. It's mush in between the essence of what's really going on.
Right.
So
I feel like we're the only race that don't really truly know our culture, and because of everything that
we don't, because it's been taken away from us. We you know how they say go back to Africa? That's great. Africa is a
word,
continent, not a country,
word,
first off. And two, even if I
word.
wanted to go back, even if I want back, you've destroyed all my papers that tells me where I'm from. So where are you expecting me to go? That's like me telling you go back to North America. Well, you got Mexico, you got the United States, and you got Canada. There are three different countries. Right? Which one do you want me to go back to? So that's the same equivalent as telling me to go back to Africa, right?
That
So
is so true. But yeah. So we the only race that don't know. You know what I'm saying? And with that, it's a lot of there's a lot of like a lot of us don't have self. Now I ain't gonna say all of us, but some of us just don't have no self love. We don't like ourselves. So therefore, if you don't like yourself, you're not gonna like the next man. You're not gonna like the next man, the next woman. You're always gonna be jealous. And sometimes, as people, we could be a little bit too materialistic. That comes into play. Oh, this person thinks they that. Like down south here, look, this female at the job came up to me. She said, I don't like a light-skinned man. I'm not gonna tell you what I said because I got back ignorant. I fired back and said something ignorant. But it's not true because that's not how I feel. I had to defend myself. But why do you feel the need to come up to me and tell me I don't like a red man, a light-skinned man? Like, okay, you ain't gotta tell me that.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
Or
Exactly.
they'll say, oh, the light-skinned dude with the weird eyes, just hating on me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm
Right.
down here in the South, and their mentality is different. They have I want to be careful. Their mentality is different. Let's just put it that
Yes,
way.
very
They
much
have a
so.
certain kind of mentality, like we're still in. And
Mm-hmm.
so when somebody from me that's from Brooklyn that speaks with, you know what I'm saying? Because I can speak hood, I can speak intelligent.
Yep.
So when I come in and I speak stern and I'm not from here, it's you that and I'm light skinned, that and I was in the Marine Corps, that and I'm from Brooklyn. All these factors, people treat me differently.
Right. Well, I was in the
Ridiculous.
Navy, so I get it. Yeah.
There you
So
go. Okay.
so I know exactly. I get it. And you know what's funny is I had brothers wanting to fight me in the Navy because these brothers who were now the same complexion I was, but because of the way that I spoke, and they all from the area that you're from, sir, or further south, they don't
Yep.
understand. So now you got another division, right? So now you got a division of color, you got a division of education, you have a division of how you speak, you have a division of your hair, and now you got a division of location, right? Because now, and it's funny because I'm relocating down to Georgia next year. So
What part?
it's
What
very
part you going to?
interesting to see that. It's going to be very interesting to see the dynamic of that because, and this is, and Andrew, tell me if I'm correct or not. Maybe you've heard this from where you're at. I've heard that Black folks down south don't like Black folks up north because there's a resentment about when the Black folks left the South to come up north, we were supposed to go back down and get the rest of the Black folks and we didn't. So there's a bit of resentment for that.
I never heard of that, but I was talking to
Yeah.
my friend, and I was in the Marine Corps with him. He's Boricua from down here in Columbia, South Carolina. He told me straight up, he said, you need to get out of where you're from because they'll tolerate people from up north, but they really don't like them. They'll tolerate them. So this, what you just told me, I've never heard of that before.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
It probably might be true.
What you just said though kind of speaks to it because if they're telling you to get out and up, they'll tolerate us but don't like us. I'm wondering if the systemic reason behind that is because we who migrated north was supposed to clear the way and make the way and go back and grab other folks from down south during the slavery and after slavery and bring them up here, which we didn't. We just stayed up here and started out because my grandparents from the south, my great grandparents from the south, my parents are
Everybody's
from
parents is
Brooklyn,
from the South.
but everybody exactly. So during that time of migration, whatever, and you're talking about 100, 150 years ago, maybe 200 years ago, people were coming up here like, all right, I'm not going back down there, but people were down there expecting us to come back down to get them. So, those are those separations that, that really can damage. And I want to say our culture, but you were right. Other cultures, other races don't have this issue because they have a foundation of religion and who they are, because
They
they
know who
come
they
from a
are.
certain place. We don't know where we come from. We know we come from a continent, but we don't know where we came from. We have no religion. We have no real heritage of any kind of African culture because all those papers were destroyed. We have no ties or anything that can legally tie us to that continent because those papers were destroyed. So here we are in a lost country, right, trying to find our way, being divided, being stepped on, being killed, being hung, right? And then trying to have a culture that we're trying to make of our own. I think we came a great way of creating our own culture here. But now here's the problem. So now we're talking about colorism. Okay, let's take it on the international level. If I go back to any country in Africa, you think they're going to welcome me? Maybe 30, 40 years ago, not so much, but now maybe. And the reason why is because we sold out. We should have killed ourselves while we were on that slave ship coming through. We should have never allowed ourselves to get caught. And for that, we don't like you as Black people in America. And this is what people from Africa is telling us. So now we
But
got
listen,
people.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't
yeah.
mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
So now we're in a country where our brothers and sisters over in Africa don't like us. Our own people don't like us. White people don't like us. Our women don't like us. Our younger men don't like us. Our older men don't like us. What are we to do? What are we to
I
do?
will say this. I'll say this.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to an African dude, two of them, in the
Mm-hmm.
when I was coming up that way. He told me it ain't. He said the Africans don't have a problem with us. He
Okay,
said we. He said we have a problem with them.
that's what he said. Did he say
He
what
said
the
we don't have a
problem
problem with
was?
y'all. He said the problem is you guys with us. We don't have a problem with y'all.
Did he say
That's what
specifically what that
he
problem
he
was?
says some he says some stuff and I can't remember, but
Okay,
he said that the problem is from us to them. They don't have a problem. America's America. Things you could get things done here. I can't remember. I wish I remember the gist of the conversation, but he brought up some good
okay.
points. But the bottom line is, he said we have a problem towards them. They don't have a problem towards us.
See that, and that's
He said
probably
that's what
where. And
he said, and that was the narrative for all these years. We don't like no.
uh,
He said we don't have a problem with you guys.
okay, okay. And so that could be very well be it as well. I mean, that could be just another layer to add on top of colorism, that whole divide. Just like the man said, coming to Virginia, talking about how he can tame your slaves. It's all about division, divide and conquer, baby, divide and
Yep.
conquer. That's
Mm-hmm.
what it's all about. You put that little bit of division in that water, and and you think about it. And I'm not agreeing with it, but you gotta admire the beauty of the methodology that this man brought to Virginia about how to control his slaves. The methodology of it and the brain power it took to think about that is pretty incredible. I don't agree with it, but it's pretty incredible if you think about it, because you're not using any energy to divide people. All you're doing is just dropping a pebble in the water and watching those waves go out like this, and it affects everything. Like, for example, pitch your young folks against your older folks. Put that pebble in the
Yep.
water and see how that works out. Okay, now Pit your light-skinned folks against your black-skinned folks. Put that pebble in water, see how that branches out. And the ripples are still going out because it's been over 3-4 centuries now.
Turn your women against your men. Look at that. Why
Exactly.
this so this why is black love rare now?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're going at each other.
We're going at each
Yo,
other.
Kanye West said something. Kanye West says something. He got scrutinized for it. I don't think Kanye West. Kanye West. I like Kanye West. Does he does some questionable things? Yes, but I think he's very intelligent. He made the comment. He said slavery was a choice.
Mm-hmm.
People got mad.
Right.
Because they took out of context what he said. What he was saying is, you got all these slave owners, and we outnumber them as people.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we could have overpowered them, and there was no slavery going on.
Right.
Because there's more us than them.
Right.
So that's why he was saying it was a choice. You could have rallied up the troops, overtaken them. But people didn't want to hear what the man was trying to say when he was saying it was a choice.
Right. They only heard a part of that. I don't know if I totally 100% agree with that. I don't know if, I understand the intent behind this statement, but I'm not necessarily sure that I agree with the content of it. And the only reason why I say that is because Black people weren't educated enough to make that rise against, because the fear has been so instilled. And as per that book that you just read, the gentleman said, instill fear. Once that fear is in there, you're not going to want to rise up against, who your slave masters are, because you got that fear. One. Two, even if you rise up against them and you become free, then what? Where do you have to live? Where are you going to go? You can't buy a house as a past slave. You can't own anything, so you can't do that. And that's why the police was created. I don't know if many people know about that, but that's exactly the reason why law enforcement was created in this country, was to make sure that Black people had a place to go, which was jail, because they made laws like you couldn't loiter, you couldn't vagrant. Well, if you just freed a slave, where are they going? That means they got to loiter somewhere. Oh, you're off to jail. That's why all that has happened. So when you talk about colorism and you talk about all these things, it's a very powerful topic, because it reaches so many avenues of our life, and it has affected so many people's psyche about how we think about each other. It's just really damaging. And I'm glad that you're bringing this topic forefront, because people need to know about this. They really, really, really do. And hopefully someone will listen and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I've been thinking about this whole thing wrong. Maybe I'll get an apology from my old college mates who think that I'm white, that I've sold out because I decide that I'm going to educate myself and not roll with you guys, because you guys were the same ones who were saying that I was too dark for you and that you ain't really Black, which I don't understand. I'm too dark, but I'm not Black.
Don't feel bad, brother. Don't feel bad, brother. Because
I'm good.
I'm told all the time, you don't talk Black. I said, how am I supposed to talk like this?
Exactly.
Or, yo, son, kid. What does that mean?
Kid, what's up? My nigga, what's up? What's
yeah,
up?
Like,
no.
Really?
No, I get it.
It doesn't make any sense.
And I think it's true, because what we're talking about now, with the fact of, I've been seeing on social media, like, since I'll go on certain pages, and there's one page I follow that they usually put everything about when it comes to, like, Black people and the things that are happening, whether it's domestic violence or, dispute between, and so then I go into the comments to see, and then there's always like somebody Black saying, it's like, it's always our people trying to degrade or judge someone, or puts, you know what I mean? Like, I've seen that comment a few times when it comes to certain posts, and it's sad, and it's the fact, like what you're saying too, because if you want to educate yourself, or you just want to be, you don't, the thing that people don't have to understand, we don't have to be like everybody else, we don't have to speak like everybody else,
No.
we don't have to do anything like anybody else. So the minute that you decide to do something else, oh, you're not Black enough, or there's something you, or somebody will try to discourage you to want to do better and become someone in life, because they're saying, like, what do you think you're doing? Like, that's
Right.
crazy. Like what
It
we're talking
is.
about, the mentality of things and how people think of like, why do we have to stay down there? Like,
Hmm.
why you can't support someone and you're just trying to bring someone down, and then what? Then they're gonna
Hmm.
continue to talk about us. You know what I mean? They're gonna
Right.
continue to talk about us, that this is all we do. We don't know how to do anything better. We're always in jail, blah blah.
Hmm.
Always something. It's crazy because it's always something
It is
negative.
always.
And I don't know. Like I said, I feel like maybe people don't want to face the fact, or it just got to the point where in their minds are just like they don't care. Because I be wondering about that. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand where everybody's frame of thinking is at. Like, what is the thing? Like, are you not noticing what I'm noticing? And that's why where I'm at right now, like we're joking around talking about the Matrix. Like,
Hmm.
I'm alert and I'm aware. Like, so you're not noticing because I've been noticing, and I can't help you. You know what I mean? If you don't want to notice it, it's okay, but I know what's going on, and I'm fine with that because I know what's happening. But I
Well,
just
the
feel like
re-
point that I don't want to. I don't feel it's right, and I don't want people allowing to do stuff because they think. And trust me, there's few times I've had to, like, I wouldn't say stand up for myself, but I feel
hmm.
like certain things I will make a point because again, it was always something. If it was either, maybe who knows, maybe it could have been about my color. I don't know. Somebody always had a problem with me, and I was just always on some, like, I didn't have to fight people. My
Right.
side was always the best thing. People hated that. But at the same time, in my head is like, you think that you're punking me, but it's all right. I don't always have to go into violence. I
Hmm.
could just be quiet, and it's gonna annoy the shit out of you. And I see
Hmm.
how you're getting, because it's
Right.
like, I'm tired of it. Because in my head, if I was like, if I really got mad and wanted to go down that route, I'd probably be locked up right now. But that's not what I want to do. That's not the type of
Exactly.
person I want to be. Just because people out there are idiots. So it's
Well,
kind of like, you know.
the pacification comes from money. Let's just put that. Let's just call a spade a spade. The pacification is money. Why do people continue down the path knowing that it's wrong? Do they want to change? No, they don't want to change because they're busy being pacified. What do I mean by that? This object right here is one huge pacifier. It's a cell phone. Everybody has one. Sneakers are a pacifier. I got to have the latest and greatest $700 pair of sneakers. I have to have the jewelry. That's another pacification because when you
Car.
pacify a group like that, cars,
Hmm.
clothes, jewelry, money, when you pacify people like that, it makes them forget about the root problem. And that's what's happening. Just like when you introduce drugs into the neighborhood, right? Why was drugs introduced into black neighborhoods? To pacify them because you didn't want them to see what was really going on. Same thing applies here. You pacifying people by having these objects readily available to them and fairly cheap, where, you know what? Forget about everything else. I'm going to concentrate on what's going on here, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm going to concentrate on what's on my feet. I'm going to concentrate on the jewelry that I got hanging around my neck. I'm gonna concentrate about that car that I got, that that Range Rover, whatever that I'm getting, whatever. So that's where the pacification comes from. That's why people don't want to know about the trueness of what's going on. We're being pacified, just like the Matrix, right? We're being used as batteries, right, to energize the Matrix world. I mean, if you look at the movie The Matrix,
That was a
it's
good
so
movie.
religious and based, and then
It
and
was.
it's so religious and based, and a lot of it applies to things that are actually going on here. If you really think about it,
Well,
we're
you
being
know,
passed.
they said that the brothers bought that movie off an older black woman. It's an older
Hmm.
black woman that wrote The Matrix,
Okay,
and she was
right.
spiritual.
Which
So that's where
right.
that comes into play.
And just to go off topic a little bit, I'll throw you an extra one too. There, I think that same black woman was also part of the Terminator series as well, because I think I saw her on
Really?
Facebook. She was talking about how the Matrix and the Terminator crosses each other
They
because
do.
because one is in the future, one is in the past, but they're it's the same. It's machines, right, trying to control
Yep.
people. It's the
Yep.
same
Right.
thing. So I think it's the same black woman who did, who had this original story for the Matrix, who was also involved with the Terminator series as well. But I
Well, she should
digress.
be a rich woman then.
Oh, she should be. But if she's like anything like Taraji P. Henson, who's fighting for her right to be paid equally like other actors and actresses, well, who knows? Who knows?
Oh yeah, that was like that was interesting when I saw it, and then the fact of like I kind of cried. I kind of got teary eyed just seeing her cry because it's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I was reading something else that she talked about when I forgot what movie it was, but she said that they told them to drive themselves to the set. They didn't
Right.
get picked up. But she said if she was somebody else, and basically I guess maybe she was trying to say she was somebody white or, because it is what it is. But she said they would have drove that person to the set. They didn't have to drive themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy because again, we watch all these things where people are watching celebrities, and we see like again, I see everybody else is just more mesmerized and whatever, but you still kind of just see exactly like what's what I mean, like what's going on out there. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying, like I'm just sitting back just watching everything. I'm like, I was like, I can't do nothing. I'm just one person, and I can't snap my fingers and just hope. I just make
Well,
jokes.
actually, you can. Actually, you can. I'll tell you. There's one question that you can ask everybody that you run into, and this will make them think about this whole entire topic, because
Okay.
the basis of this topic is, how do you see yourself? Right? How do you
Mm.
see yourself? Your light skin, dark skin. The question you should ask everybody is, what is your definition of beautiful? That's
That's
the
a good
question you should
question.
ask everybody.
That's a real good
What is your
question,
definition
yo.
of beautiful? Because by
Yeah,
the answer, that should tell you everything you need to know about where that person's headspace is. Because
that
if
is a
they
good
try to tell
question,
you,
man.
oh well, beautiful is the flowers, and this is the white snow, and the white this and the white that. Okay, now you understand the psychology of what they were taught to be as beautiful. Now, if you ask somebody else what's beautiful, oh, the bronze skin, my African sister, her hair, the way her hair smells, the musk, the African musk, the Tunisian frankincense, that's a definition of beautiful as well. So that's where you have to really get to start that conversation. What is your definition of beautiful, and how did you derive to that? That will help you with the colorism issue.
I think that's a good idea. I'm probably just gonna have to wait till when the weather starts to get better because I don't think I want to be outside nowhere in the cold. But I already in my mind, I'm already picturing of like what I want to do and hopefully get people's attention. And I think that would definitely be a good yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I was watching Malcolm X the other day, and you remember that scene
Mm-hmm.
where the guy converted him to being a Muslim, and he told him
Mm-hmm.
to read the dictionary, and he said, "Let me
Yep.
tell you what the dictionary says." And that's when Malcolm X, before he became Malcolm X, he started reading, and he saw
Aardvark.
black.
It's the first
Remember
word.
black?
Yep.
It was disgusting, ugly,
Yep.
and he's like, "Look at white," and it was
Yep.
pure, and all this other stuff.
Yep.
So it just, I don't know. I
Exactly.
just brought that up because that part of the movie. I just seen the movie like 2 days
Well,
ago.
it's the perfect thing to bring up. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's how, what do you think is beautiful? And when you see words like that and you see it in the dictionary, and people use the dictionary, right? When we see it as black people, we think of ourselves as bad, as black, dirty, disgusting, whatever.
Hmm.
When white people see that, they see that as, oh, that's what black people must be: disgusting, dirty, untrustworthy, right? That was one of the words, right?
Yep, that was one of the
Crook, and
words.
then, whatever, right? White, pure,
Pure.
snow, innocent,
Hmm.
right? That was the
Yep.
one word, innocent.
You
Now, let
remember?
me
Yep.
preface this because, my Angie met my wife. My wife is Italian.
Okay.
Um, but she's been around black people most of her life, and let me tell you, she has her finger on the pulse when it comes to certain things. There's a lot of things that we don't agree with, but there are things that we do agree with, but we have the ability to sit down and discuss it, and that's another issue too. We're so ready to fight that we don't sit down and discuss, okay, I accept the fact that I might not agree with everything you say, and you may not agree everything that I say, but you have to have that conversation. But having that conversation too is, and this is going back to your point, Andrew, about Malcolm X and reading the dictionary, words matter. Words matter.
They do.
Because
They do.
you have to pick and choose those words to describe what beautiful is, what colorism is, what racism is, what gentrification is. And you have to have that conversation. You have to use those words to accurately describe where you're coming from. And that's what we don't do anymore as well. You know, we take advantage, or we assume that you mean one thing and it's totally something different. And now we got a problem.
That's why you gotta clarify
You
things.
gotta.
You don't know how to clarify
Yes,
things,
sir.
man.
Absolutely.
But you know what though? Overall, and I was telling somebody this, we got a racism problem in this country.
Of course.
And until we stop playing around, acting like, oh, I don't see it, I don't see the injustice, until we just wake up and stop being sheep, be shepherds, it's always gonna be there. And people try to, we shouldn't talk about that. Why not? It's a problem. It's evident.
Right.
It's evident.
It's not going to be a problem if we discuss it and solve it. It's going to continue to be a problem if we keep sweeping it under the rug. It's going to be a problem.
And it's
and then within our own community, I feel like, I'm sorry, Angie, I feel like in our community, we got to get it together first.
Yes. Yes.
We don't want to do all that. We don't want to take accountability.
Nope.
It's sad when I got to go to the store, right? And I automatically got to be in defense mode to somebody that look like me. Because he looking at me hard and I feel some kind of way.
Absolutely.
Well, I got to do all that.
Absolutely.
Or if I say what's up to you, you're going to sit back and be like, down here? You be like, yo, what's up? Some of them, you know, some of them, they'll speak. But some of them, you be like, yo, what's up, brother? Right. They looking at you hard because they're already, you're already trained to look at me like you don't even love me anyway, bro.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? And it's sad. That's part of that colorism, part of that learned behavior of not trusting, right? Like you said earlier when we was reading that book, right? Young against old, old against young, men against women, women against men, light against dark, dark against light. I mean, division is the one thing that will control people. You got that division
He also said that they will trust us before they trust each other.
Yep. Ain't that something? Ain't that something though?
That's
I mean,
crazy.
it's literally sickening to hear that, you know, because, you know, no human being should treat another human being like that. First off, just pure humanity for the sake of everything. Nobody should be treating each other like that. But to be that diabolical, to control a set of people based upon where you stole them from, what you think their education level is, what you think their capabilities of, or lack thereof, their capabilities. Now you're going to control these group of people who are the larger mass for them to do what you need to do. And we're still doing it today. Still. That's why I said I don't agree with what the gentleman said, but his methodology, his thinking about that, the strategy behind that is brilliant. It's brilliant because it's still working today. It
is. It's still working. Right. I said that. It's still working today.
Yep. So Angie, how do you plan on fixing it?
Man, I wish. Like I said, the only thing that I can say is that, again, when I walk around, I'm just looking at myself as just me as a person. I'm not too concerned about color because, again, if I think you're an asshole, you're an asshole. You could be a man, woman, child. It don't even matter.
Right.
But it sucks because I'll see people a certain way. And again, it doesn't even have to be like, oh, because he's black and then, oh, because she's white. I've seen people do the same thing that anybody from any color, nationality, and whatever they do. So I'm like, I'm going to judge you off as a person and not because of, you know what I mean, of your skin color. Because trust me, I've dealt with a lot of people and I've seen a lot of stuff. And I'm just like, that's why I was just like, if I got to block people, ignore people, protect my people, I'm gonna do it because I ain't got time. I don't care who it is.
Nah, it's not
So
worth it.
the other day, somebody told me because I'm spiritual. You know what I'm saying? I'm spiritual, but I don't push my beliefs on people, right? So I just told somebody that I'm not a Christian no more. They was like, oh, "You're not a Christian? What are you then?" So they said, "What's your race? What are you?" I said, "I'm human race." "What's your religion?" I said, "I'm just a follower of the man upstairs." They was like, "What?" I said, "Okay, so ask me." It was like, "So what's your race?" I said, "Human." It was like, "You're not black?" I said, "That's a color."
Mm-hmm.
That's a color. I said, "What am I?" You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying
Right.
to get the colorism or nothing like
Right.
that. Okay.
Right.
I just said that's a color. That is not
Right.
of race.
Right.
So try again. I said, "You can't tell me I'm African American. I've never been to Africa. I don't know my culture." So they
Exactly.
said, "So what are
Boom.
you?" I said, "I'm a human race male with no religion, just to
There
follow
you
the
go.
Christ. A human race." I said, "I
There
don't
you
fit
go.
into no category of race."
Right. Well, the
That's it.
reason why, and the reason why that's so uncomfortable for people is because we're so used to categorizing people. And once we categorize people, then we can treat people based upon that category,
But
which
if you
is
can't put
way
them in the
too easy.
character, well, then what, right? You can't put them in the
Exactly. So,
category.
exactly. So I would say, I think that's a great idea, just saying that because if like you said, if someone asks me, well, what are you? I'm black. Okay. Now I know to put you in that category. Now I'm going to, for
Hmm.
the rest of this conversation and the rest of the time that I know you, I'm going to treat you this way because that's what you put yourself as. But if you give it a general, I'm human race,
Yep.
black is just a color. Religion has nothing to do with it. You can't put me in a box. So now it's like, how am I going to treat this person that's not in the box?
They don't know
That's
what
a
to do.
difficult thing. They don't know what to do exactly.
Because
But you
listen,
know
when
what?
you
The more uncomfortable that they feel, I bet you they'll start thinking about where their habits come from.
because listen, when you call yourself a Christian, you put a target on your back. Oh, you
Mm-hmm.
can't do this. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't
Mm-hmm.
do that. You're not supposed to do
Mm-hmm.
that. But when I tell you that I'm not, I'm just a follower, you can't put nothing on me now.
You can't put exactly. You're a 1,000% correct, sir. 1,000% correct. That is definitely a way to do that. Yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
Cool.
I'm proud of myself. I think I'm a little intelligent, a little something, something.
Oh, very intelligent, sir. Very intelligent. From one king to another.
Yes,
Absolutely.
King.
Yes. From one king to another. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Angie, does all this
Yeah,
conversation give you insight about what you said earlier, why you couldn't, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
About the colorism and why we do what we do and why we do all this stuff. It has a
Mhm.
lot to do with the jealousy and envy. So the other black women touching your hair, they feel a certain kind of way because you have beautiful hair. They don't
Mhm.
have that. I want to see that girl hair real because I'm just saying though. Mine, you know what I'm saying? Mine ain't like that. Let me go see her hair real. Let me touch it. But
Mhm.
Solange wrote a song and said, "Don't touch my hair." Solange wrote a song, "Don't touch
Yep.
my hair."
Don't touch my hair. Yeah.
Don't touch my hair.
it's
Very
crazy
fair.
because I've seen other women, and again, it's just like I'm one of those people. When you see someone, it's just like you see so many, and I think the word to use shades of color, so many different shades, and I
There
can
is.
see beautiful women. Their hair, they could be dark skin with nice curly hair. They could be dark skin with real, actual, straight hair, like natural straight hair. Because I have a cousin. Um, she's Puerto Rican, and when you see her, she's dark skinned with some beautiful, long, straight hair. And it's just kind of like, I don't know how her experience was for her growing up, but I'm like, these are just, I'm saying, like the things that I've noticed. It's like, again, there's people all over the world that are still like, nobody's really just like white. Everybody just has like a different shade and their
Mhm.
facial features and their hair. Again, even if they're dark skinned, they actually got good hair. So that's just the whole thing. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Like I said, sometimes I'm like, I'm in my own lane and my own way of thinking of like, just certain things are just stupid. Again, nobody
It
else
is.
wants to wake
Yeah.
up and
It is.
realize certain things, but I'm just seeing things like. I'm a human, like you said, I'm a human being, I'm a person. I can see someone else, I can find something beautiful about them, and I don't care if they're black, white, whatever. I don't care. But
Right.
everybody else is still out there judging and still, fighting each other over stuff because of the fact of like the hatred again in social media and even in real life when you're talking to people, people are so concerned about like someone mixing races and all of this,
Mm-hmm.
like what happened, like what is it going to be the end of whatever? There are still other people that don't want to be with another race. Like it's not, I don't feel like anything is going to disappear. I don't think there's going to be, I mean, they keep saying that there is. When I think at one point they were talking about like biracial kids, they're always talking about by the year this and that. Just like in New
Mm-hmm.
York, they're saying by the year whatever, whatever, there's gonna be like four out of whatever or one out of four. Some like there's gonna be like Hispanics here in New York, so it's gonna be like it's the majority of it's gonna be like a bunch of the Spanish speaking people in New York. And I'm thinking we
Right.
already got that anyway, so it's like what? It doesn't even fucking
Right.
matter because we already have that here. You go to Queens and freaking stop on what's that stop on I'm thinking like Roosevelt, or I know it's another stop on the 7 train.
Oh, Flushing, where it's all Asian. Yeah.
Not that one. I think it's like Roosevelt, Roosevelt Avenue. I know there's a stop on the 7 train that's outside. That area is
I'm
like
lost because I've been not riding trains for years.
I.
Yeah.
It's
I
funny.
know exactly what you're talking about.
I feel like I could go around and I've been noticing that certain areas, whether in Brooklyn, Queens, wherever, I feel like you could tell what's in certain neighborhoods. Like a certain part of Queens, there's a lot of Hispanic people, whether they're
Yep.
Ecuadorian, Peru, Colombia. Everybody's got that little area. And then if you go to
Hmm.
like to, Manhattan, what they call little Chinatown, Manhattan got that. I forgot what other places
Spanish
have
Harlem. You
it.
got you
So
got yeah. You got all these different places. But look, it's divide and conquer. That's what that's all about. I mean, I understand. Well, look, I remember, and my wife is telling me too, because like I said, she's Italian. Like when her folks came over, right? I guess people feel comfortable or gravitate to people who look, act, and talk like them, and I get it, especially if you're coming from a country to a brand new country and you don't know anybody, and I get that you want to do that, but at some point you have to take the moral responsibility and the cultural and racial responsibility to really understand other people that live here. That's why I've never understood why we are so hell bent about the southern border, about keeping, migrants out of the country. Now, I do agree. You have to do it fairly and you have to do it legally. I get that. But have we forgotten what this country supposedly founded on, which was bring us your sick, bring us your poor. This is the place where you can practice freedom of religion. Doesn't make a difference what culture you are, if you're white. Um, so the same thing you're talking about today, those are the things that this country was supposedly built on. So where's the connection between that? Divide and conquer. That's what it's all about. Divide and conquer.
Well, the people forgot about all that. You know what I'm saying? The
Mm-hmm.
people forgot about that. They, it is wrong. They forgot about all that stuff. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? They're so busy trying to change the Constitution and the amendments and everything like that, changing everything right in front of our eyes. They don't care. Or people are sheep.
Yeah.
People are sheep. They don't want to be shepherds. They want to be sheep. They want to walk
Mm-hmm.
around. I wake up in this world. I get up. I go to work. I come home. I repeat the process. They don't
Yep.
understand that you got to do something monumentous in this world. You got to help other
Sure.
people.
You
You
got
got
to
to
leave
care
your
about other
mark.
people. You ain't made here just to wake up, go to work. You're here to do some God inspiring things,
Right.
and people forgot about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
People want to be
1000%
sheep.
agree.
They don't want to be shepherds. They want to be
Nope.
sheep,
They want to be sheep. Absolutely.
and they
And
don't
I
want to wake
think
up.
I think one of the ways that we can kind of help combat this is through our children, through our nieces, our nephews,
Yeah.
try to give them these lessons on, true humanity and what it is to be a human being. Granted, it's not fair in this country. You're absolutely right. But that doesn't mean that you have to fall in that as well. You got to be the best
Exactly.
person that you can be in
Yep.
integrity and inspire other people, because that's the only way that change is going to happen. Not being a sheep, you want to be a shepherd. You want to be the shepherd of goodwill and the shepherd of knowledge and the shepherd of doing the right thing. And the only way that you can do that is, have that courage to do that. Talk to your children, your nieces, nephews, what have you, and let it spread from there. Because I guarantee you, kids don't come out of their mama's womb being racist. I
No, they
guarantee
don't. It's the
you,
parents.
kids don't come out of their womb being colorist. I'm born 2 seconds later. I don't like light skinned people. Or I don't like. They don't come out
Two
like
babies will play with
that.
each other. Two
Yeah,
kids will play with each other. Two
yeah.
babies will play with each other. It don't matter what race they are.
Doesn't
It's when the
matter.
parents get in there and be like, "Oh, you can't play with that such and such child."
Exactly.
But I
Exactly.
also was going to say that me and you were both in the military. So because
Mm-hmm.
we're both in the military, you can make change around the world. But you
Sure.
got to do it one person at a time.
One person at a
You got to
time.
continue to be who you are, and your example is going to influence everybody else. It will influence them. It's going to take a
Oh,
little bit,
absolutely.
but
Yeah.
it's going to influence other
It's
people. Because
gonna.
once they see you consistent every day, they got to respect that, and they're either
Yep.
going to fall in line or they're not going to fall in line.
Exactly. You're 1,000% correct. Yes, sir.
You
So
know,
that's why we got to stay the course. We got to stay the course and continue to do what we got to do, even though other people not doing it. You still got to be
Mm-hmm.
that salt and light in this world and show these people
Mm-hmm.
how to do
you know what I
Absolutely.
say? A baby where I work at, um, she's, I guess if you want to say she's quite light skinned. She had a black little doll, and I just saw that, and I'm just like, okay, like, it wasn't even like she needed to have a white doll or another doll. She had a black little doll, and the mom made sure that it was actually strapped into her stroller so that she wouldn't lose her doll along the way. And I just kind of saw that. I was like, you know what? This is what I'm talking about. She
Mm-hmm.
had a black
But her
little
mother
doll.
taught her that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
even no, like, oh, why am I gonna get this for her? What are people gonna say? She just got it for her. Her daughter likes it. This is like,
Right.
that thing. Her daughter likes it.
Right.
So, um, it's just, yeah. It is true. It's taught. It is taught.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's taught.
again, like for myself, my mom, of course, my mom was not never racist or anything, so she never taught me that. Again, I had to experience certain things as a kid into an adult of again watching the own people in my community of the way they treated me, and it was like what you said. I started feeling a certain way and a resentment towards my own people because I'm
Yep.
like, how am I being made to feel like me being light skinned is a problem, or the little
Yep.
comments? 'Cause I remember one time somebody some woman said to me that she was like, that pink, right? The color pink looks better on dark skinned people. Like she was just trying to tell me that because I
Oh, so
bought
she was just,
pink,
yeah.
then it
Yeah.
looked nice on me. So I'm just kind of like, okay. I wasn't even gonna argue because in my head it's like that's just all a head game. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it
Mm-hmm.
does, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't matter. But you're not gonna have me feel like I'm now gonna go around like no, nobody cares. If you think
She's
it
a
Right.
does,
hater. She was a hater. She was
She
hating
was definitely a hater.
it
Definitely.
because she didn't. You know why? Because she couldn't pull that pink off like you could. She was hating.
yeah. Uh,
She
it's
couldn't.
also like with women, like what we were talking about, women being pinned against each other about like, let's say again, we're talking about the light skin and dark skin, and a black woman would be like, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. And I'm just over here like, why?
Yeah.
Why
Mm-mm.
do we do these things? Why are we talking about our private parts and because of the color what happens down there that makes it a certain way? I'm just like, again, I don't know if anybody can say otherwise. I don't know if I would have to ask somebody if there was a difference, but I feel like
Hold up. That's what that means? The black of
Yeah.
the
Black
berry,
and the
the
bird is
sweet
sweet as juice.
juice.
Oh yeah.
I never
Oh
knew
yeah.
that.
Well, hey, look. I'm
I'm
old enough.
not.
I'm old enough to know that because I'm a
I'm
'70s
not.
baby, and
Listen,
that was during the uh black exploitation movies.
yeah.
Ken Greer said that the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
I
Exactly.
just thought the black of the berry meat The blacker the color, the sweeter. I didn't know it was something else
Nah,
to it.
yeah, blacker the
Nah,
berry, the
it's
sweeter the
talking
juice.
about
Now,
this.
now, Angie. Now, here's what you got to remember, though. Remember the time period in which that was said. You got to think back to what was going on then, and that's why that was said that way. Remember, this is early to mid '70s, probably before both you guys were born.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on there. There was a lot culturally going on there. You know, you
Really?
had the Black Panthers, you had
Yeah, yeah,
Malcolm
yeah.
X, you had Martin, you had, all these, Black solidarity groups, who was trying to pull us together, by saying stuff, that's what peace,
Yeah,
blood.
yeah, yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a famous blood meaning black blood, whatever, brother, sister, whatever.
Remember they
Those
did
are
that
the
in the
things that are
Olympics,
trying to
remember?
bring that solidarity. Exactly.
In the
1968
Olympics.
Olympics. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think of the time period in which that was said and understand its context at that time. Does that hold true today? Of course not. Of course not. It doesn't make a difference, but you just got to remember what the time period was for that.
Yeah,
There's a
because yeah,
time and place
people
for everything.
still, yeah, people still have used that even in the last year, the year before.
Yep.
I've seen it again. I just always see everything in the comments. It's
Sure.
not like I hear it out loud, but it's
Right.
mostly social media in the comments, and then it turns into a whole. That's where it turns into, like, I wouldn't say a war, but it starts into a whole debate and a whole
Yep.
argument, a
Mm-hmm.
conversation of
Mm-hmm.
like, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just like, boom, bingo, there you go. They got what they
Right.
want. You're fighting each other, and you're just not looking
You're
at
not
the bigger
listening.
picture.
Yep.
But
But you know what? I don't like the fact that people can't have regular conversations and
Mm-hmm.
understand that opinions are opinions. You got one, I got one. It's
Everybody
okay.
has one. Yeah.
Somebody want to get mad and think their opinion is my opinion is more validated than yours. I just don't understand that, yo. People
No,
can have
I
an
don't either.
opinions.
I don't understand that neither. Well, competition and wanting to be right, that's what American culture has taught us. Get there first, deliver first, and be right. And it's all about
But how you
competition.
know that you're right? But how do you know
It
that
doesn't
you're
make a
right? What do you
difference.
mean
It,
right?
it doesn't make a difference how you know you're right. As long as you get there first and you present yourself like you're right, and if you can convince people to convince
right,
them
if
that
you
you're right,
see it,
even though you're wrong,
and you believe it,
yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So you don't even have to be right now these days. You
Nah,
don't.
you really
You just have
don't.
to come
You
off
don't.
like you. You got to come
Like you're
off
educated.
like. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
crazy.
That's right. Why do you think we have so much misinformation out there? We have so much misinformation is because the battle is trying to get information out there first. Who cares if it's right or wrong? Who cares
That's
who it
true.
hurts? You know, who cares? Remember that saying, good publicity, bad publicity. It just same
I know
thing.
what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Any
You know,
publicity is good. Something like that. I know what you're talking about.
exactly. So whether right, wrong, or indifferent, it doesn't make a difference. Somebody's gonna profit off of it, money. So what are you gonna do?
I want to share this because I found the scene. Remember, Spike Lee's movie, School Days.
Yep,
Yeah.
Right now, let's
yep.
see.
Good or bad hair. That's actually, and you want to hear something funny? That's one of my wife's favorite movies, School Days,
School
because it
days?
was it
Yeah,
was it
that's a
was
good
it was
movie.
literally during the time that because I met her in college. It was during the time of that when all that was going down. So
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, it was definitely during that black progressive. You got to be
Yeah.
down, you got to be progressive, you got to be this, that was the word. That was the word in the late 80s, early 90s, progressive. You got to be a black progressive.
Yeah.
What the,
Yeah. It was. It
it's
was.
like, really?
Yeah.
But
It was.
yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
What you got for us?
Angela, I'm digging them frames, yo.
Oh, thanks.
So style. She's so stylish.
She is. She's so beautiful.
She is. She
She's
is.
a beautiful woman,
She
boy. I
is.
tell
She
you,
definitely is.
she is. Look at that smile. Look at her.
Uh,
Look at that
all right,
smile.
guys out there, you better get right.
I know, right? Shoot.
That's a
Get
queen
it.
right there. She ain't playing.
She ain't playing.
Educated
She's
queen.
taking prisoners.
Yeah. Very intelligent now. She don't play no games, man.
That's right. That's right. Shoot. Oh man. Cool. But
Man, I really enjoyed this tonight, man. This has
yeah,
been
I
good,
did
bro.
too. I
This has
did
been
too.
really good, man.
Yeah, this was when Angie mentioned that what the topic was going to be. She told me a couple of days ago. I'm like, I am there. I am on
Me
it
too. Me too. I
because
said I'm
I was
in there.
like, yo, I man, if
Yeah.
anybody knows, I've experienced it. I'm sure everybody has. You know, it coming from.
Of course
I
we
mean,
have.
yeah, I mean, everybody has. No matter what side of the fence you come from, what side of the tracks, what side of the coin, everybody has experienced it. But I think the probably the most important part is even after you experience it, how does it affect you now as a human being, as how you deal with people, you know? Um, and for me, and this is just for me, for colorism, knowing what I went through and how I was so segregated amongst my own people, it made me love my people more, because I really had to take a step back and look at everything and understand where they're coming from. I may not agree with it, but I have to understand why things went down the way that they did. And now that I think about it, I'm kind of glad that it happened to me because it made me the person that I am today.
That's true.
And I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. So most people would have been like, still their ass would have still been burnt about this. Like, nah, I ain't talking to them. They treated me like, you know, whatever. And I gotta admit, I was like that for a minute too. But you have to, like Andrew said, you got to take a step back, and you really got to be, you know, sheep or shepherd. I figured I'd be a shepherd on this one because I
Absolutely.
really needed to understand where this was coming from, and I had to do a lot of reading. That book that you was talking about, I
Making
had
a
to do
slave.
that. You know, yeah. I mean, you just have to do that kind of reading and your own research to really understand. And I think once I did, you know, it made me feel a lot better because now I understand why I was approached or I was categorized the way that I did. Do I agree with it? No, but I understand it, so I can navigate
You know what? I think us as colored people, we got PTSD.
better.
And we gotta figure it out. Like what you said. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
understand why we are the way we are and why some
Mm-hmm.
of us do what we do. We
Yep.
have PTSD.
Sure.
And until we figure it out, you gotta be compassionate to us a person and come to the
Sure.
understanding. Okay, this is the
Absolutely.
reason why they did that. That you
Right.
know what? It's not even you. It ain't
No.
you.
No. No. You're just the collateral damage. It gets thrown back on you, but it's not you. You're just a
It's not you.
recipient. Exactly. You're just a recipient of it. But part of being a recipient of it, like I said before, like you said, you got to do your research. You're like, okay, now why am I being treated this way? Let me go back and ask some people. Let me have a conversation, or let me read this, or you know. And I even
Hmm.
talked to my wife about it too, because she even notices that as well. One quick story: when I had met her in college, I was pledging. I started to pledge an all-black fraternity, and when I was dating her, that was a problem.
Yeah.
So literally,
Oh,
I did not pledge that fraternity. I pledged another fraternity, but it was a problem
right.
because of that colorism and the
Right.
racism
Hmm.
and all that. And you know, do I regret it? Not as much as I get older because I really don't care anymore. When I was younger, yeah, because you know, it's like, man, I could have did this, I could have done that, you know, whatever. I could have been a brother of this and that. And you know what? My fraternity that I pledge right now, I'm so comfortable with these guys because they really represent me. And what I mean by that is, instead of it being an all-black fraternity, which I had no problem with at all, absolutely none. My fraternity that I'm in right now is a lot more diverse. What I mean by
That's
that
good.
is, you know, I got white guys, I got Jewish guys, I got Puerto Rican guys, I got Dominican guys, I got Asian guys, I got Indian guys, I got black guys, I got gay guys, I got people who are not gay. I mean, like
Hmm.
we are definitely a motley crew. Like if you put us in a room together, there is no way you would say that we're all in the same organization. Like, no, absolutely not. But we are, you know, that's because we found that common foundation. And I think with, you know, me, I guess trying to justify my existence as a Black person, trying to pledge an all Black fraternity, that kind of lended itself to that. And even at that gate, I got rejected. So,
Wow.
that's what I'm saying. It's some powerful stuff, man. It really is. But it makes you question and think things a whole lot different. A whole lot different.
So, kind of in closing, something that I wanted to talk about because I've noticed that I feel like it's always something hard to really talk about because I feel like when you say it, people will look at you in a way like you must be a hater or there you go because you're light skinned. And no, what
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed is that they taught us not to love ourselves, and especially the women, because if you see throughout time how women have evolved, and especially when it comes to the hair,
Mm-hmm.
they're making us feel that we have to basically cover ourselves. And if you bring that up, people will get mad at you because they're like, what are you talking about? But
Mm.
when I think about it as a kid growing up, my mom, again, light skinned Puerto Rican, um, me having the type of hair texture that I had, she didn't know how to manage my hair. She didn't
Mm-hmm.
deal with it. So her solution was, let's take that beautiful gold comb that everybody knows about that you would put on top of the stove and let it get hot, and then you
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
through my hair to make
Oh.
I had that. I used to have those relaxers when I was younger with
Mm-hmm.
Dominicans, it got to relax. And it got to a point, even myself, I didn't notice that I'm over here in a way also like damaging my hair. I mean, it looked
Right.
great and it was all nice and straight because it was pretty long, it looked,
Right. Right.
but I felt like I never until I got older. And I think because of the products and the stuff wasn't there at the time that I think I remember, but I couldn't really experience and actually just embrace my own hair because if you see the pictures, if you see me now, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck it. I'm gonna have my hair the way I want it, even if
Yep.
it's
Mhm.
messy, even if it looks like the Lion King. I don't care because
Yep.
I've been putting my hair a certain way for so long that it's like this is what it's supposed to look like. This is the natural look of it. I find
Mm-hmm.
products that can actually make my hair all of it actually curly, just not the
Mm.
inside. That's the funny thing. Inside my hair, I have this curly, while it's always the front that's straight. When I be still trying to figure it out sometimes, but I have products that will make my hair a certain way where I don't have to go and be like, let me go relax my hair. I stopped doing that for a while. If I do, you see my hair looking a certain way, it's probably because I did like a washing set and they plaster flat iron. But I've stopped doing relaxers and putting all these chemicals and things in my hair, and I tried to also stop putting a lot of heat towards my hair. And it
Mm-hmm.
just sucks because again, as a woman, and then to tell other women like, yo, like embrace who you are, embrace your hair, embrace it. You can't tell people that. If you see my daughter, I've gotten so mad because if you see her hair, I love her hair. Her hair is beautiful, but she insists that she needs to put weaves on. She needs to put on lace fronts and frontals, whatever you call it, because again, I don't do that type of hair. But she needs to have that on in order to look a certain way for her hair to be right, for her to look beautiful. And I hate that. And I
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, that's changed in the late 80s up until the 2000s. Again, going back to that progressive period where we're trying to find ourselves or rediscover ourselves and back to Africa, you found that a lot of women, especially on my college campus, who they were going natural after that, man. They were like letting their hair grow. They were growing locks. They were growing, whatever. They were just because you got to remember in the 70s, in the 60s, yeah, women wore their hair out in afros, but before that, like my mother, my grandmothers, they that hot iron, that hot comb, man, with that ultra sheen grease, that green grease in a white cap that you had to take
Yeah.
off, and you had to do them edges down at the bottom because when that hot iron hits the back of that neck, and everybody knows what that smells like, especially if you grew up in the projects, right? You
Ooh,
knew what
yeah,
that smelled
yeah.
like because
Mhm.
but you know Angie, don't get discouraged. We are moving away from that. And I think that more and more these days, people are not caring about that so much anymore now because now I see women, they still doing their process and they're still doing their weaves and their tracks and whatever. But what am seeing is more and more women wearing their hair more natural.
Yeah,
More
they
black
are. Yeah.
women are wearing their hair more natural
That's
because
really,
one, it's their crown. Just like that. What was that movie that Spike Lee did about hair? Right? Did you guys remember that a couple of years back?
Yeah.
Chris Rock
I know what
or
you're talking about.
Yeah.
about good
So
hair?
it was. I think it was called. I forgot what it was called. I think it was called. I mean, obviously, it
It
wasn't
was
called hair.
about hair. I know what you're talking about.
It was
I don't
about
even know the name of it.
right. And Spike Lee did a movie about that, and he was talking about black women's hair, and we see now we've shifted the narrative from our hair being nappy and ugly and not attractive to now the new narrative is our hair is our crown. That's our crowns because we are true kings and queens. And the way that we wear our hair tells us the type of crown, the type of proudness, the type of pride we have as Black people. That's how we're going to wear our hair. So that's why you see a lot more women, thank God, Black women wearing their hair naturally. I mean, however you wear it, it's however you wear it, but be truthful about it, Be truthful about what your hair is like, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad because I just got a little bit upset because, like I said, we've been brainwashed, and I've had conversations with her where she was just on some like expecting me to give her almost like 150 or 2 to 3 to 4, and I'm over here like, what? I don't even spend that type of money on my hair for what? I'm not gonna
Right.
do all that. I'm not gonna cover my hair. I'm not gonna. You see me right now with the knotless braids and whatever I want to get creative with. I don't want to do all that. I remember at one point I was wearing like wigs, like simple ass wigs, and it was just like I stopped wearing it because I was like, "Oh my god, it's so hot under here. My
Mhm.
actual hair is sweating from wearing another hair on top of mine." I'm just
Right.
like, "No, I'm good." Like I just couldn't do it, and it just
Right.
breaks my heart. And that's why I'm upset. It just breaks my heart because when you try to tell someone your hair is beautiful and you just have to just figure out like what can you do to it, even if it's a simple thing, and it just turns into like you're crazy. Like, no,
Hmm.
that's not how I want to look. I need to have this, and I want to, have the long hair all the way up to my butt, or I need to. And it's crazy, and it's sad, and it hurts because it's like,
Hmm.
again, as I've gotten older, it's taken me time to just realize certain stuff and how just to appreciate things and just to stop certain things because again it's a way just to mess with us, to mess up our hair. Just a lot, again, people are, like I said,
Hmm.
people are not taking the time to think it's okay.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's the thing too. People are not taking the time to appreciate that, and I'm with you with that. I hate to tell people that you're beautiful. You don't need to do all this stuff, but they've been so
And
programmed
they
and
don't believe it.
brainwashed.
They don't
And
believe it.
like Andrew
Hmm.
said, that passage that you read, sir, from the book about the gentleman who spoke up amongst the slave owners and said, "Here's how we're going to manage your slaves." Now, what is the difference between that and now? The medium. And the medium is cell phones, commercials, what you see on TV, right? Because what they're showing you on TV is what they want you to believe what is beautiful,
Hmm.
and it's not.
Hmm.
And that's why I said to you, if you want to
Lies,
really tackle
fake,
this colorism,
Photoshop.
yep, exactly. It's what you see on TV. It's still the same guy in Virginia preaching to you the same bullshit, but now he's doing it through TV. He's doing it through the
Yeah.
cell phone, through social media,
Hmm.
right? It's a way of control. It's a way about how you should feel about yourself or how you should hate yourself or hate others who don't look like you. But that's why I said to you, the question should be, what do you define as beautiful? What is your definition of beautiful? And
Nobody's gonna really give you a clear cut answer on that one.
because nobody really
I don't think
knows.
so. They ain't not gonna
Nobody
give you a
knows.
clear cut answer on that one because, like yeah, nobody knows. Nobody
Nobody knows
knows.
because you've been force fed. You've been force fed a false narrative of what you think beautiful is. You've been force fed. So what are you gonna do? But
Right.
anyways, that's all I got. I'm off my soapbox now.
Right.
So I gotta get your information before we get off of this because you are a enlightened brother, and
Yes,
I
sir.
want to keep in contact with you.
Sure, absolutely,
You still stay
absolutely.
in Brooklyn? You still stay in Brooklyn or
No,
no?
I currently right now I live upstate New York. I live in Albany.
Oh, you in Albany
Yeah, I'm in Albany
and you
now.
moving to Georgia?
Yep. Next
Godspeed,
this year.
homeboy. Godspeed. Godspeed.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, it's not like we're moving where we don't know anybody. Like most of all my family's already down there already.
What
So
part
like
of
my
Georgia is this?
Atlanta.
Oh, you want the ATL? I've been there.
I'm going
I'm
to
supposed to be
ATL.
going
Yeah.
there again.
Yeah.
ATL. Listen,
ATL, baby.
downtown Atlanta got me prepared
Um.
to drive to
th-
Manhattan.
yeah. No. Well, I'm looking more in the northeast corner of Atlanta, like in the Decatur area.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not
So
gonna be far from me now. I'm only like
yeah.
3 hours and 40 minutes from Atlanta.
Yeah. At
3 hours
least.
and 30
Yeah.
minutes. Something.
Yeah. Like I said, I got a whole bunch of family down there. I got my brothers, sisters, nieces,
It's nice
nephews.
down there though. It's
Buddies.
nice down there.
Yeah, it is. It is. Less tax, longer growing season. I don't have to
Yeah.
shovel snow as much.
You ain't gotta do alternate side of the street parking. Well, you might have to.
Then,
No?
Nah, nah. Well, we don't do it up here, so yeah. But
They
it's
do it
all
in
good.
Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Mm.
man. Man, the last time I was in Brooklyn was for my 50th birthday. Let me tell you, man, it's weird. It's weird. No,
Mm.
actually, I take that back. I was in Brooklyn two summers ago, down in Williamsburg. Had a cigar event down there. It's weird. I don't even recognize it anymore.
It's
I'm
gentrified.
like places that used to be are no longer, and places where they were no longer now has.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
there's a hotel
gentrified,
in that whole
man.
neighborhood. What?
and they
A
say
luxury
that all
hotel?
happened after because of 9/11. I mean, it could be true, but it could be other. There's a bigger thing at works, but um, but yes, I'll let you guys. I mean, once I stop the live, you guys can then try to talk before. But I'm gonna
Yeah,
close and like I said, anybody who's watching and listening, like I said, everybody's not aware, everybody's not awake, but at the same time, like I said, I know it takes time, and you really have to be able to learn how to truly really love yourself and understand that what
That
anybody
is
else
true.
says doesn't really matter, because we
yeah.
have been taught a certain way. We have been taught to hate and dislike each other. We have been
Mm-hmm.
taught to talk about each other, to make fun of each other, and
Yep.
nobody is looking at the bigger picture. Like I
Nope.
said, growing up, I've experienced it. I know what it is. So if I said something, it's not like, oh, because I'm a hater or because I'm light skinned. No, it's because what has been done to me. And I never thought about doing anything to anyone else because, again, that's not where my frame of thinking was. I was not sitting there saying, oh my God, look at this black, ugly girl. No, it's what I noticed what was being done to me with my own people within my own community, what was
Right.
being done to me. And it is true. It is kind of like, I was using words like a little bit traumatizing, and it could be triggering, and maybe like PTSD. It's so many things that is true when you walk down the street. You're even looking at your own people, having to think like now you got to be aware, not even just of the fact about
Mm-hmm.
it, but because of the area, the surroundings. Like you
Yep.
can't even like walk down the street and be like, oh, this is my community, and we're all looking out for each other. Like no, it's not even like that. It's like you got
Not
to
anymore.
somebody's gonna try to rob you, kill you, something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yep.
so different and it's sad. But like I said, everybody's not gonna wake up from this. People are not gonna look at the bigger picture. It's just like you said, everybody is focused on the wrong thing about how am I gonna look today and how I'm not gonna pay my rent to make sure that I get this hair. How I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that I get these sneakers because now I'm gonna stand on the line to get this. And it's all the wrong things, but it's okay. People are gonna do what they want to do, whatever makes them happy. Go spend your money. It's your money. And again, if you're
Right.
not hurting nobody, whatever. But like I
Exactly.
said, it's just again, we really have to come to a place where we have to see things for what they are. We really do have. Last time I was talking about self love. You have to love yourself. You have to
Have
love
to.
yourself.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, if that being said, as always, thank you for watching. You are watching Thoughts of a Light Skinned Woman, and I will see you guys next time because I still have another topic now. Another topic that I don't know who I brought it up to was also about women of color that I've seen on social media about when we as women say that we're experiencing some type of pain or we feel that something's wrong in our bodies, and how they tell us that there's nothing wrong with us, that it's all in our head. And that's definitely the next conversation that I
Okay.
want
Mm.
because that's pretty interesting too. Like I've been hearing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
more.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll definitely be the next conversation for us to have. Again, ladies, my ladies, I know you're out there. Like, I want this not only just to be with these, as they say, with these kings, with these gentlemen. I want the women. Again, you don't have to show your face. You can put whatever name, but I would love to hear from women because this is about us, women of color.
Mm-hmm.
I need to hear your
Mm-hmm.
feedback from myself or having to go on Google and research to find other people's um situation and experiences. I know there's people out there, like I said, I don't think nobody's gonna come looking for me that I know of. I'm just Angie, I'm just me. We're just having a conversation, we're just talking about it. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can always come on the show. You don't have to show your face, you can always change your name. But I really do need women out there. Like I know you're watching. I know you're watching, and I would love for you to come on. I need this. We need this. We got to
Yep.
talk about it. I want to hear if anybody's actually experienced this type of stuff because that's pretty interesting to hear. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a big it's a big thing besides what I just said. But all
Right.
right. So with that being said, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for
No
sharing your
problem.
experiences and the stuff that you know, the knowledge and information. And with that being said, I just want to say good night and until next time.
Yes,
Bye.
Good
ma'am.
night.
Good night. Good night.